skip past the middleman and go straight to the boss. Because you go to the middleman, you're looking at week, 2 weeks before you even hear back. The middleman will take you out, and don't be scared. What are they gonna say? No. Okay, then it didn't work. But if they say yes, that's awesome.
This episode is proudly sponsored by Kentucky Farm Bureau Insurance of Martin County. Beyond just providing insurance, they are dedicated to protecting our local families from difficult financial situations when life happens. We want to thank them for everything they do for our community and for supporting our mission to be a resource for youth workers and the families they serve. To learn more, please visit the team at your local Martin County office or call 606-298-7721.
What if the best way to break generational poverty wasn't through just another job, but rather through creating your own career? Maybe going into business, entrepreneurship. And what if one young man from Eastern Kentucky could show others that starting small is not the worst thing in the world? In fact, it could actually lead to a big, bright future. Well, today's guest is doing just that. Curious to see who it is? Let's get into the episode and find out. Welcome to Me and Poverty, a podcast about breaking barriers, building bridges, and changing lives, one story at a time. Today's guest is a young entrepreneur who's proven that business is not just for the big cities. It's actually for our hometown in Eastern Kentucky as well. And that business can start right in your backyard. I actually grew up next to this young man, and it's really cool to see all of his success. I heard that he is growing, and I look forward to see everything that's to come. He is the owner of J&J Window Cleaning, and he has proven what hard work, dedication, and persistence can do for a business. Without further ado, welcome to the show, my dear friend, Jacob Mullins.
Hey Joe, I'm honored that you brought me on here. Is really it's really awesome that you're doing something like this, and it really is touching a lot of people. And I'm really happy to be on here to share my story with everybody.
Oh man, it's I've been keeping an eye on you, and of course, you know, my previous career we crossed paths quite a bit, and you've always did great work, and we'll get more into that today. I don't want to give everything away, but let me start out with kind of my generic question that I ask everyone. What would you say is your relationship to poverty?
Well, me and we grew in the same holler, so we kind of knew it's about the same thing here with me and you. We're meat house boys. So growing up, didn't even know we didn't have money till I was an adult almost. Like my father, he worked and took care of us, but you go to Walmart once a month, twice a month, and other than that, you're up in here with everybody else, and everybody else is the same way. So,
Yep.
but you see it, and as the older I get, the more I travel around, there's the poverty's everywhere, and it's not just here. It's anywhere you look, there's going to be some form of it.
Yeah, oftentimes, and you know, I get to go speak quite a bit nowadays, and on the topic of poverty specifically. And a lot of people, when they think of poverty, they think big inner city stuff, right? They're not really thinking about the holler up the holler up the holler like we're from, you know. And I say that with pride. I mean, I love where I came from, and but yeah, people don't think of it that way.
No, I mean, you're up in here, you're 30 minutes to the closest town, you're 30 minutes from town easily. And so you don't make growing up, you ain't got the gas money to run out to town every day. You're up in here for, until it's time to go to the grocery store. Yeah, that's it.
And when you did, like you said, man, when you did go to the grocery store, you made sure you got everything you needed for quite a while. I distinctly remember growing up where we did. My grandparents, they would often shop for groceries more at the local gas station or a miner's mart kind of place rather than an actual grocery store, right?
Well, yeah, if it wasn't for Save a Lot, right there in town, and then you got Miners Mart down here, you can grab your milk and bread, when you run out in the middle of the week. That was a huge help to us up in this up in this neighborhood at least.
So, Jacob, do our audience a favor today and tell them a little bit about your business. What is J&J Window Cleaning, even though the name kind of gives it away?
Yeah, well, basically, late 90s, my father started it up as a window cleaning company, just something to sustain the family, you know. He never went wild with it, I should say. We done local gigs, more or less, and he's, we had a living. We made it. We didn't have all our wants, but we had all our needs. So 8 years ago, 7, 8 years ago, he had got diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. So he was out of the running, you know. I was working in the mines at the time, and he said, "Do you want to take the business over?" I got offered, to take it over. It was a lot on my mind, coming, I was working underground. I had a paycheck every week to, now I got to go make my paycheck. So I talked to my fiance, now wife, and I was like, I'm just going to try it. So I took the company, and over the last 8 years, we've expanded to 8 to 9 employees, and it's just blown up. We cover from Charleston to Lexington. I don't want to say we're the biggest in the tri-state, but we're definitely one of the top runners of the biggest window cleaning companies in the tri-state now.
Yeah, that is too cool, man. Knowing you personally, like, I'm super proud of you. I don't know if you hear that enough, but if you don't, you got somebody else that's proud of you, buddy. Growing up in Eastern Kentucky, what was the moment that made you realize that you could own your own business?
Honestly, I was thinking, I can go work for somebody else and make them money, or I can bet on myself and make my own money. And I look around and I really enjoy seeing other successful people. I've always, there's not, I don't want to say there's not a lot of successful people around here, but the people that have really pushed it to the limits, the employees, the whole 9 yards, been through the struggle with it, and stories like that helped me. So I was like, you know what? If they can do it, why can't I do it? And that's when I realized, like, hey, I can make this happen if I just, bear down and get with it. And that's what I did. And I've been blessed honestly, from day one. I've really been blessed with it.
Yeah, it's been really cool to see kind of your trajectory and how you stay busy. And it's really, really cool having a CEO or a business owner that is literally boots on the ground like you are. It's so well earned, man. It's really cool to see. You're a young entrepreneur, business owner. Like, how in the world do you go about kind of work, home, life balance? Is there one? How do you balance that?
It's a really good question because I struggled with it for a long time trying to get the company to where it is today. I would, 4 a.m., sometimes up to 7, 8 at night every day, out grinding and hustling to just get it going, And me and my wife, she understood what it took for me to get where I'm at. She was in college. She went to ACTC. She's now a registered nurse. Couldn't ask for a better wife. She's great to me and our kids. So she really helped me. Like, she didn't question why I was gone. Like, she knew I was doing it for our family. And yeah, if I said I was home all the time, a few years ago, I would be lying because I was constantly going, I was networking whatever I could to get clientele. And my wife, great, like I said, couldn't ask for one no better. She went through college, worked, and even like, I'm not gonna, we struggled for a couple years. If it wasn't for her, she worked and went to college, and that helped a lot. Like, I didn't go straight into this making money, I was struggling, and she helped a lot that way. And now it's to the point where I have a home life. I have employees. I can set their schedules, and I can go a couple days a week, and the rest of the time I can enjoy my life with my family. And that was the sole purpose of this.
Yeah, yeah, that's why we do it. And here's the thing, though, especially young people, right? They see the vacations, they may see the vehicles, they have no idea the work it took to get there, right? So this podcast being a resource for them. I'd love the idea of giving them kind of the real picture. So I appreciate you giving them an inside view of, you may be able to take a vacation that you want now, but man, it was a journey to get there.
Yeah, it was, it went from, raking and scraping. We were paying our bills, we were getting by. We didn't have that extra money that we could have used for the Florida vacations and wherever we decide to go, you know? And that's one thing I can tell all young entrepreneurs. You're not going to start out of the gate making six plus figures. It don't work that way, you know?
Yeah, yeah, no, that's too cool. I've got a buddy that he has a sports card business that I'm going to have on here one day, and I look forward to opening some more eyes with his story too. So I appreciate you talking about that. I hope you're enjoying this episode of Me and Poverty. I just wanted to take a quick second and tell you about our season 2 sponsor, Appalachia Reach Out, or ARO for short. Founded in 1972, ARO is a ministry in eastern Kentucky devoting their time and effort to being Christ's love in action. Based in Martin County, but also serving Perry County, Kentucky, and Scioto County, Ohio, ARO supports families by meeting basic needs through their food pantry, their thrift store, while also partnering in addiction recovery, education, and community development through their work and witness teams. Fun fact, we've even had Appalachia Reach Out's executive director, Dwayne Mills, on this podcast before. So please go check out that episode last season. I'm going to have a link to ARO's website in the description of this video. Guys, I'm sure they would love your support, whether that be financially or volunteering your time. With that being said, let's get back into the episode. What would you say are some of the biggest challenges that you had early on in the business, and how did you overcome them?
Honestly, probably believing in myself after rough days. You know, the days you go out and more stuff goes wrong than it goes right. You know, you're out here, you're working, and then this happens, that happens, your vehicle goes down. You know, you're dependent on this work vehicle. Say it's I don't know, an alternator or something goes out, and you're like, oh man, I've done spent more than I made today, you know? So, so it was really a grind to get past the hard days because you're going to have them, but you got to have enough faith that you can make it work.
Yeah, and we have wonderful, fantastic wives, and that helps. But they have their own careers too, and we have kiddos and all the things, right? And being a young entrepreneur, it's a lonely life sometimes. It's a lonely day, and it's easy to get down on yourself. And I've had those days. So, like you said, for me, example, I know what I'm going to get charged to go speak at an event or how many books I'm going to sell. But if your transmission goes out, then it just ruins the whole thing. But here's the thing that you and I know. End of the day, a lot of times those networking opportunities that you mentioned are oftentimes worth more than just a simple paycheck for that day, right?
Oh, I couldn't agree more with you. And like you said, the lonely time on the road, I would leave. It wouldn't be nothing for me to leave at 2:30 at 3 o'clock in the morning and drive 3 hours so I can be at a job by sunlight, you know, because in Eastern Kentucky, you know, you have Inez, Prestonsburg, all these local places, but to really get out there and you have to drive. It would be hard to make it with just these local counties, you know? So I'm driving to Harlan, Charleston, Lexington, wherever I can get a paycheck, basically, is where I was driving. And the amount of times that it's been me going down the highway and thinking to myself, you know, what am I even doing? You know, it's 4 o'clock in the morning, there's not another soul on the road, and here I am 150 miles from the house. And somehow it worked, you know. I grinded, went through it, cleaned the windows, and I've had a great customer base up to 3, 4 hours away. It's nothing for me to have a phone call for the windows, but the loneliness, it will work on you. It will, especially when you leave your wife laying there in the bed and the kids or whatever asleep, and you're like, man. But then you get to thinking you got to do this to provide. So
There's a big saying that Dave Ramsey, I don't know if you follow him at all, but he's a financial guru, if you will. And he's got a saying, live like no one else so that one day you can live like no one else. And I think that kind of sums up entrepreneurship. You've got to make long-term investments on yourself, and it is a grind. It gets lonely. It's tough. I appreciate, again, you giving our audience a real picture at what success can look like. So What would you say? You've probably cleaned thousands of windows at this point. What would you say is one of the funniest or weirdest things that you have seen while cleaning windows?
Oh man, there's a couple. I don't know if I don't know if I want to even say the one. We we have some houses on a country club, East Kentucky of here, a little southeast down towards Harlan, Middleborough, and they're monthly. They go in, we go in, clean the windows. We pulled in the driveway. I've been with them for 5, 6 years now, so it's nothing for me to pull in, go around the house, do the windows as I'm going around, and come back to the truck. Went around one time, they were a bunch of the women were out back sunbathing, and I was like, ladies, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But she's like, oh no, we understand. And I was like, I should have let you probably knock on the door and let you know I was here. So that was kind of an embarrassing moment for me. You walk around and see that. And then when a customer's sitting there and you do something silly, you're like, oh, you look like a complete dummy in front of a customer. Yeah, stuff like it's gonna happen though. It's life.
It comes with it, man. That's a good one. I like that. That would be me, and I would be embarrassed to death. So, what is something that you wish you knew before getting into the business?
I wish I would have studied more on the tax side of things because when you're an owner operator starting out, you have to watch every penny. You have to save all the receipts. The tax man will get you. You really have to be careful. The first couple years was really a struggle with me trying to keep all my paperwork in line because I'm going out here doing a job for let's say I'm doing a $300 job. I write the receipts out, give them the receipt, they pay me cash, and then I'm like, oh, being a small business owner, you have to be extremely honest because these cash jobs, you can put them in your pocket, but it's not going to pay off in the end. So I would highly advise anyone starting out to look into all the tax codes, look and see what you can do for write-offs, and it will really help you in the long run.
Man, that's great advice. And I feel like someone that's new to making money, like obviously you and I probably were, you're probably going to learn a few hard lessons if you're not careful, right? Sounds like you've probably learned from a few lessons, but what would you say are maybe some helpful tools for you to run the business, the back end of it that no one sees? Any advice there?
As far as scheduling and things of that, I'm still old school. I still put it on a calendar. I've got it right in front of my face every time I sit at my desk. I could probably do it on my phone, but I'd forget how to look it back up. So, it's when it comes to scheduling and things of that sort, I'm pen to notepad, scheduling everything. Phone calls. A lot of people like to text. I'm more of a phone call person to interact with someone, and then QuickBooks. If you're going to get into, an entrepreneurship, you're going to run a business and you're going to have multiple clients, it's almost impossible to do it without QuickBooks. You can get the app, it's $30 a month. It's worth every penny. It will save you the headache. Now it will do your taxes. It does everything. You put in what you make, you put in what you spend. At the end of the year, you print it off and take it to your tax lady, and you can do the billing online. And I would definitely say QuickBooks for anybody starting out, and then don't be afraid to talk to people. You can shoot them a text, say, "Hey, I'll mow your lawn," but call them and interact with them, and it makes them feel, it's more of a one-on-one type thing, and it makes them feel like they're, I don't know, the customers appreciate it. They really do.
And I think it sets you apart, makes you more personal because other entrepreneurs, they may just be chasing the dollar and they're not considering that. They're too busy, right? But if you take that extra mile with a customer, I think you may just keep them for a lifetime.
I have clientele that I've got even from back in, like I said, the late 90s when my father originally started cleaning windows local. I'm still doing clients to this day that we had in the 90s, 29, 30 years of clientele. And they're like family. They really have become like family. A lot of them have.
I respect that a lot because I've got a business called Little Legacy, and legacy's huge. What do you want your business to be known for? All of the things, right? And legacy for me growing up, it was never on my mind never on my family's mind. It was all about survival. But eventually, thankfully, you get to the point to where you can think about those next steps and legacy. What do you want to be known for, and what do you want to leave behind? And I think making the phone calls when you could do texts is part of that legacy mindset. I like that a lot. What are some of the pieces, the tools of the trade for a window cleaner that you could educate our folks on?
The last 10 years stuff has blown up. If anybody's ever interested into it, it's www.wcr.com. There's not a tool on there that I don't think they make. Traditionally you'll want your mops, your squeegees, scrapers, poles. Then they have these new water systems. They're a little pricey, but they're worth their weight in gold. And anything of that sort, we keep on hand. I have the little Ram vans, and they're full of tools. So if something breaks, just swap it out and keep going. Like when you're out on the road, you have to have them. If you don't have them, you know, you're burnt.
I respect that a lot. That's cool, and you can tell you're passionate about what you do, and you're educated on it. And I think that's the difference when you're boots on the ground every day, right? Like you've experienced it, so that's cool.
Exactly. I tell my guys, we were just in Somerset yesterday, and we were cleaning windows. We have a chain of banks down that way now, and we were cleaning the windows on it. And I went out there, I was talking to him, I was like, listen, I want it perfect. I was like, I have built this from literally kind of nothing into this extraordinary company. I was like, I don't want to leave a streak on a window. That's not what I'm known for. When somebody calls me, I want them to have top-notch service. And something that's always stuck with me, it's great advice for anybody. My father always told me, he said, do the job like you're the one paying to have it done. So when it comes to that, you're going to want if you're paying, money coming out of your pocket, you're going to want the best that somebody can do. So that's how I view my work now is I want it to be like I'm paying for it. I want the job to be perfect. And, you know, I've been in the business as myself owning close to 8 years, and I don't even know if I've had the first complaint.
Yeah, that's when you know that you're taking it serious, going the extra mile. That's unheard of, man. That's awesome. Running a small business, sum it up in like one to maybe three words. Like, what comes to mind for you when you think about running a small business?
Oh man, first one would be stressful. No, you are stressful. Stressful's on there, and it can be very exciting and joy. It can honestly be joyous because when things start clicking and going right, and you see all your hard work finally paying off, it's awesome. But it will be stressful more times than not, and that's just something you have to deal with.
Yeah, yeah. And it's funny you use that word because I'm a little more comfortable with stress than like my wife per se. She craves unapologetically loves stability. And I'm as an entrepreneur, that you're like anti-stability. Like if you're if you're gonna be successful, and so it's funny, we have those days, man.
The stability in owning your own business and being entrepreneurship it's not there. One day you can have two pockets full of money, and the next day you got two pennies rubbing together. And just the life of being a business owner. It happens.
Yeah, and as long as in the back of your mind you're netting positive, you're like, yeah, it's okay. I know you personally. I know you're a humble guy. How do you balance staying hungry, wanting growth, and to be successful, whatever that looks like for you, versus staying humble like you are?
Oh, from the time I started this, I wanted to build an empire. I want to be the biggest in the tri-state, if not bigger. And it's coming along. We're 7, 8 years in now, and we are one of the top dogs. It's not hard for me to stay humble because I know where I come from. Growing up, certain people in the community would have nice vehicles, these big, nice trucks and everything. And I always wanted that. That's what made me hungry for success. As a kid, you got to have goals. If you don't have goals, you won't do nothing. As a kid, I wanted the nice vehicles. I wanted the Harley Davidsons. What kid wouldn't want it, growing up? And so that had always stuck with me for the the earlier years, and that's what kept me hungry. And now what's keeping me hungry is you kind of shift your focus over to where I just want to be able to take care of my family and my I want to take care of everybody. Nothing I'd love more than to be able to blow this up to retire my mother, retire all of them. That's the end goal is to everybody to make enough money that everybody can just relax, and not be, not pinching pennies, but being able to relax and enjoy their life.
Yeah, yeah. And often I think it's important to mention here, like when people think of an entrepreneur, oftentimes they think of somebody that's like stingy and I don't know, money hungry and stuff like that. But guys, you can only spend so much money. You can only spend so much at one time. And eventually I think it needs to become about, hey, who else can we help with this, right? And that was my wife and I, like, why write a book? Why donate a portion of it? Well, we're thinking about, someone, the next generation that could escape poverty, hence the name of the podcast, Me and Poverty, right? But yeah, so I appreciate you mentioning your mom. And for those that don't know, I adore your mother. And I think she's just a phenomenal human being. And she's always been just the kindest soul to me, my family. So you come from good roots, buddy.
I want to touch base there for 1 second. She has been amazing. Me and my father, we've always got along, but we always kind of butted head. I think it's a father-son thing. You're going to butt heads. Growing up, though, I see, looking back, at the time of a child, you don't really think about it. But looking back and seeing my mother get her clothes from Goodwill, why, me and my sister, we get our clothes from Walmart or, somewhere local. She gave up so much. And I don't really want to tear up about this, but she really did do. She gave up so much for me and my sister. And I'm sorry. Just thinking about it, it really is. It means a lot now that I've got to where I am to be able to help her because she gave me her everything. My sister to get by. You know how it is up, where we come from and the money issues and things. And she really did her best at raising us. And now it's my time to pay it back.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And that's why we do it, man. That's why we do it. And you'll never truly be able to completely thank her for everything, right? Like we know that as parents now, and maybe we weren't as thankful as we should have been, and but now, thankfully, with maturity and business and all of the things, life experience, now it's better late than never, right? That's kind of my thought on it. And even with my own family, better late than never.
As a kid, as a kid, you don't see it. You don't see the sacrifices your parents give you. You're like, you want this, you want that, and they do their best to provide. And now, as an adult looking back, like, man, they gave their everything for us. So it's it's incredible to have family like that.
Yeah, I often, and even when I talk and kind of share my testimony, if you will, my story, and, I'll look at groups and I'll tell them my grandparents, they had like just met one another, just married. And I think they were maybe about 48 years old, had raised their own kids, all the things. They were about to ride off into the sunset. And then lo and behold, they get six boys dropped off in their lap, And yeah, that I'll never be able to repay them. But we try over the years, right? And there's a lot of examples of that. But yeah. So I appreciate you. I appreciate you mentioning your mom and your dad, and I know them personally. They're great people, and I've seen more of your mom, obviously, and she's always just been amazing to us, and always poured into us, and I'm very grateful for that. She's leaving a legacy, just like you are now. Be honest, you probably have the cleanest windows at your house, your car in the eastern Kentucky, maybe in the world. Am I right here?
Well, you're so far off, it ain't funny. No. Oh my gosh. My wife constantly is yelling. She's like, clean these windows. I'm like, I don't want to clean them. I've been cleaning for all week. It's funny you mentioned that. Probably 2 weeks ago, I was like, oh, the dog was. out there on the screen door or whatever. And I had to go out there. I cleaned it. I cleaned a couple around the front of the house. I'm like, that's good for a year. We'll see you next year.
I respect it, man. I respect it. That's okay. It's okay. You're busy. You're busy. So let's pretend a high schooler gets their hands on this video, which I so hope they do. I hope they do. I hope a teacher maybe shows it to them, and they say, "I want to own my own business one day," or "I'm going to own my business one day." What would be your maybe biggest piece of advice for them, Jacob?
Don't give up. Don't get your hopes down and give up 1 month into running it because if it blows up in 1 month, that's awesome. Congratulations. Would love to see it. But don't get down in the dumps over if it don't take off the first week, second week, third week, or even the first year. As long as it's growing a little at a time, it's not going to do leaps and bounds. If it's growing, a job here, a job there, and a little more frequent here and there, it's going to work, And especially if you're at the house with your mom and dad, you're still in high school. What bills do you have? Put your time and focus into your business. I'm not saying it's for everybody. Some people, college is the right choice, and I'm not against that at all. For one, I did not go to college. I'm not against it at all. I'm not against it at all. But I just grinded and hustled, and I think anybody that wants to do their own thing is incredible. Anybody listening, if they want any advice at all, don't hesitate to reach out to me. I would help any way I could with tips, little tricks, whatever they want. I would be more than happy to help anybody into the entrepreneurship.
Yeah, I would love the to pour gasoline on their fire, like, and before it goes out, right, and before maybe they just accept or settle or all those things. And I don't think it's encouraged enough, honestly, to kind of go against the grain. And don't get me wrong, I did a formal education, right? It was my way out, but it is not everybody's, and nor should it be, thankfully. And so yeah, I even when I'm in high school every week, and I'm always encouraging these guys that say they're not going to go to college. I'm like, hey, that's great, but please, for the love of God, have a plan, like something, right?
Yeah, yeah. Don't come out of high school to sit around. Have a plan. If you don't have college, you better be grinding. Because you don't want to be stale. You get stale and then you stay stale. That's all there is to it.
No, that's good. That's really good. And no one wants to be around stale bread. Like, that's good. That's good.
And don't be negative. And you have ideas and you talk to somebody and they're negative about it, get away from them. Negativity kills more dreams than anything, in my opinion. I hate being around negative people. You tell them a plan, like I've got other ideas, some other business ventures coming up. And I talk to some people about it, are like, oh, that won't work. That you're not going to do it. All right, well, get away from me. And then when it does, you can come back to me.
Yeah, well, and they probably will, right? Like,
You would be surprised how many that said the windows wouldn't work out now they want a job. Good piece of advice: stay away from negative people because they will kill your dreams.
yeah, no, that's actually great. And I've got a saying with my boy now, and gosh, it's a battle almost every day. I think it's human nature to settle oftentimes. And man, it's a battle to fight that, to counter it. And so he's got a bad habit of saying, as every 4-year-old probably does, but he's got a bad habit of saying, I can't. And dude, I just grind my teeth like every time I hear it. And I'm like, no, sir, not in this house. We don't say those words. Like, I'm unapologetic about that. Like, there's not a lot of things I will die on a hill for regarding parenting, but that's one of them. And because, man, I love my family. I love them. But I've had a lot of family that have just settled and just accepted it. And I'm just like, nope, nope, we're changing family trees, buddy.
Yeah, I hate to see it. This is going to be the change. I couldn't agree more. I know tons of people that have settled for, they've realized like, hey, this is going to be it. And they don't try to chase their dreams or try to further anything. And I'm like,
That's why we got to get to them early. I relate it to being like concrete. It's easy to change, shift concrete. Like if you get a little extra somewhere, or you need to pour a little more in, or you need to add gravel to it, like you can do that at the beginning. before it gets too concrete. But if you wait too long, it'll settle, and then you can't change it, unfortunately. So that's a good point. What are some key aspects to networking? And maybe you go into kind of your definition of networking. What does that look like?
That is, with me, it was always find out who the boss is and talk to him. You know, don't skip past the middleman and go straight to the boss, because you go to the middleman, you're looking at week, 2 weeks before you even hear back. The middleman will take you out. And don't be scared. What are they gonna say? No. Okay, then it didn't work. But if they say yes, that's awesome. You'll get 100 no's to two yeses. But those two yeses are going to pay off. So, and then other things I have used here recently. I've not been great with online networking. I'm having a website built at the moment, but Facebook ads, stuff like that, and just being kind to people in general. Word of mouth goes so far. I want everybody satisfied when we leave a job because they're going to tell their neighbor. Yesterday, one house led to three houses just by word of mouth. When they saw how good of a job we did, and now, two more's lined up. So I would say do a good job and talk straight to the boss, because that's who's going to hire you. The middleman's not going to hire you. Find out who the boss is, direct, talk to him, stay clean. Don't go in there dressed like a bum. I've seen it. I've seen it. With businesses, the way their appearance means a lot especially when you're trying to close on 1,000, 2,000, $3,000 jobs. They're not going to hire somebody dirty to come in there and clean their windows. You be clean, and that's another really. I never struggled with that. I was always an extremely clean person. My parents were extremely clean. Anybody that's looking into it as far as starting their things, talk to the boss. Yes sir, no ma'am, whatever it takes, and be clean. That's the best advice I can give you.
And I think it's a little almost forgetful, the being clean part, when you're in like a non-office job. Or I've interviewed a few people in the trades recently, so I think that is phenomenal advice and easy to forget, but you better remember.
Nobody wants somebody coming into their office that's been working all day and smells bad. They're not going to want to talk to you. Go first thing in the morning, be cl and smell good, look nice, clean shoes, and talk to them. And that you'll get the bid over the guy that's got dirt and covered in dirt and smells bad. It's just how it works.
Especially when you're trying to get past the gatekeeper. And you know what I mean, that middleman, right? Going back to that. So if you're gonna approach the decision maker, the boss, you got to smell good. What's some of the biggest myths about being your own boss or owning your own business?
Oh, the biggest one is that you're rich. It's not true, in our area, somebody sees you drive a decent truck and you have your own boss with a couple employees, they automatically think you're rich. That's not it at all. I know plenty of business owners and they struggle just like anybody else. You might make good money, but look at what you pay out. So I'm probably no better than, some manager of an office, honestly, but I have the freedom now of I work for myself, and the freedom is worth more to me than anything.
Amen. I've been really hitting that home with, even when I'm talking to my wife. She forgets, or I'm sorry, she reminds me oftentimes. She's like, "You went and got a master's degree, and you're running your own business." And I'm like, "That's right." Like, darn right I am. Like, it's just a level of comfortability, I think, too. That, I mean, again, it's stressful. It's stressful, people. But I get more comfortable in my stressful day running my own business than it's a different kind of stress, I think, is a way to put it, right? Walking in and having to answer to the man and just, ugh.
It's a good stress because you're doing it for yourself. You're building your career, your future. It's a stress. Yeah, it's a stress worth having. It really is.
What is your, as a business owner, family man, all the things, what is your go-to way that you kind of treat yourself, Jacob?
Uh, Starting out, you probably don't treat yourself because you're just grinding, trying to get by. Uh, I don't see anybody in the first year or two treating themselves. Yeah, I can understand Roadhouse on a Friday night with your family, something of that sort. But really, for me, always been addicted to cars and motorcycles. I've always had passion for them. So when I get the chance to get something that I want, I take the opportunity and do it now. Horrible advice, probably. It probably is horrible advice. Don't listen to me. But I have worked and grinded so hard that when I see something I want and it's not going to put me in a financial burden, I get it. And that's kind of where I'm at in life. If my wife wants something and it's not going to, kill me, she gets it. And same way with my kids. That's another point I'd like to touch on really quick. Won't take but a second. I want my kids to have a life, a great life. I want them to have, what they want, but they have to see what goes into it. I want them to work. My kids, I might hand them stuff right now, but they will have to earn it. I'm not going to be one of these fathers that, spoil their kid all the way up till the end of high school and then the kid's a leech for the rest of their life. They will be working. I just want to put that out there. I worked and it got me to where I'm at. And my kids will work.
Yeah, I respect you saying that. I've seen too often times, even a lot of my own friends and family, and oh man, they get everything handed to them, and then the real world hits, and it's like, oh man, or maybe they get an opportunity and then they squander it, and sheesh, it's sad to see.
It is, and it happens a lot around here. The kids get everything handed to them right up till their parents are gone, and then they have nothing. It's sad to see.
So this is a good point to bring up. I finish my book, Me and Poverty. I finish it with a letter to both Daisha, my wife, and to Oliver, my son. And in the whole book, I detail kind of my journey of escaping poverty. In my letter to him, not to give it away, but I write that my escape from poverty is going to afford him some distractions. And I encourage him to, in a lot of different ways. Again, I don't want to give it all away, but we're blessed in that regard. But man, it's a responsibility to not raise a hooligan, and But our escape, and I mean, there's different levels, of course. But anyway, my escape from poverty is going to afford him a lot of distractions that could derail him. And we've got to be, as parents, we got to be so careful, man, because it's our responsibility.
Yeah, it's a tricky situation. There's a fine line there. You don't want to go over. Like, yeah, you want the kids, I want my kids to have everything I didn't. I would love nothing more than my kids have everything. But there's a line there that you can cross, and if you cross it, then it's the kids aren't gonna. It'll I don't want to sound crazy and beat around on this like a dead horse, but I've seen a lot of kids so disrespectful because they get everything handed to them and they think the parents owe it to them. And that's just a line I don't want to cross with mine.
I don't know if you've noticed this about me. Some people have, but my wife and I, we don't get along with people our own age. And there's something I think to be said about that. We're kind of old souls, if you will, and we don't often get caught up with the things of the world, or I mean, don't get me wrong, we have our spoils as well, right? But we often have to find an older soul that's a hard worker that appreciates that, doesn't stay up all night and all the things. So I respect a fellow young person. I think we're still considered young people, but I can appreciate kind of a young entrepreneur like yourself that has that perspective and the legacy you're going to leave to your kids. It is a big responsibility. Jacob, what would you say is maybe what's next? What's upcoming? What should the people know about your business?
Just recently, I have decided this year to get into snow removal and do contracts for, multiple stores, take care of the parking lots through the winter. Just something. It'd probably be have to hire one extra hand, but we're looking forward into doing that and kind of reaching over into land management. I have some great guys on equipment and things like that. So I definitely see the company growing. Probably branch out to J&J Land Management, and same way with the windows. We'll never turn down a job cleaning windows. If we get a call, we're on it. We will take care of you. That right now, that's kind of where I'm at. Eventually, I'd love to have a whole crew for a land management crew. And same way with the windows, we're looking into a couple hospitals right now, semi-local hospitals we'll be knocking out hopefully this year. Just anything really that I know a little bit about that I can start to keep going is what I'm aiming for right now.
And if someone wants to hire you, what's the best way to go about that for them to contact you?
We're on Facebook, J&J Window Cleaning. We're on Google. Can't miss us, 5-star rating across the board. So just give us a holler. You can't miss us.
What do you think is probably the best compliment that you have ever received from a customer?
We've had a few. Well, I've had a lot, I guess. Probably that we are the most professional and nicest and just genuine people that they've ever had do their job. And that's what I aim at for my guys is be nice, be genuine, no rude comments. And if a homeowner or a business owner has a question about it, answer it. Take the time and answer them, and so when they do that, then the compliments come in that, we're professional acting, we're a great group of people. And that's what means the most is when I get compliments on my workers. I love it.
Again, that word of mouth, it can make or break. And I'll be honest, not necessarily in my own business so far, but in life, I had to learn a lot of hard lessons, and I didn't always have someone that led and guided me. I had to go out and find a few mentors, and that helped a ton. But yeah, that word of mouth, man, it'll make or break your business. That's for sure.
Just as long as a young person or any person is honest and true, you won't have any problems.
Jacob, man, I am so proud of you, and I thank you for being on the show today and giving your perspective as a young entrepreneur in Eastern Kentucky and just proving the fact, which I've known and I tell people wherever I go, you do not have to leave the beautiful hills of Appalachia, Central Appalachia, Eastern Kentucky, even to make a living, to have a business. And if there's a young entrepreneur or a young aspiring entrepreneur that sees this, I want you to know that. I want you to know, one, that you can do it. We believe in you. Jacob's proof of it, that it can be done. And if you have that dream to do your business, chase it. Don't let anyone pour water on that fire. You can do it. And if you watched this episode and you enjoyed it, please share it, like the video, comment, share it with someone that you know could benefit from it. You know who I'm talking about, whoever that is in your life that needs to hear this. And remember, keep sharing stories, and see you in the next episode.